In the bottom right-hand side, a best of 5 starts off in the semifinals with the blue Zerg player. Still does not have a team. This is Lambo. Taking on the red Terran in the top left-hand side from Team Liquid. Gotta give it up for Clem. First map of this best of 5. Definitely think it's a series to have a bit of fun in, because Clem and Lambo, they actually played one of these not so long ago, and Clem just looked amazing. And I think that's what you got to accept going into this, that Clem just is really good. Like, Lambo can definitely put up a fight. The only thing is, last time he kind of fell apart a little bit, and just let Clem dominate him from the early stages. Yeah, what was I thinking of? I don't think I was thinking of the finals 3-1. It must have been like a semi-final or something, or quarterfinal, sorry. The win streak from Clem in this matchup, by the way, is disgusting. Clem has not lost a Lambo since July of 2019. He is on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 series win streak. Well, they went 1-1 in Home Story Cup, so he's on an 8 series win streak against Lambo. That is really something. Clem has just been so good in this matchup lately, and I definitely feel like Lambo, like I say, he's taken a map here and a map there in ESL Open Cups 24 and 25. You know, he took a map in each of these games. In ESL Open Cup 37, I feel like that's the one I was thinking about. Now is a 2-0 for Clem, just clean and simple. Of course, this is best of 5. Let's see what they bring out. There's command center in the natural. Overlord from Lambo heading to the upper left. Obviously not really much to see early. Clem is going to go for that second gas. Clem is not much of a 3cc player, right? 1 gas, 3cc. It's just not really a Clem at all. He really just likes to go double gas. Just gives him that little bit of extra harassment. I feel like Clem really likes that early game. The early game units to put to use. As you have the Reaper across the map starting to hunt for a drone if at all possible. Obviously mostly wanting to just get information. Dance maybe a creep tumor. That would be amazing, but he will not get the creep tumor. The Ling's out there to block the Reaper. That will be that for the moment. Starport building up from Clem in the main base. Again, that ready to go as our Overlord of Lambo hanging around in the overhead here. So this Overlord hanging around. We do see a Reaper is coming up for the moment. Going to take just a little bit of damage there initially, and there's that Roach Roaring from Lambo already setting up. Of Hellions coming through. Just going to be seeing our Starport is about to finish. Couple Marines going to sit in the corner, and just going to be seeing our Hellions of Clem continue now down the bottom side. Ling's going to go in for the Reaper. Doesn't quite grab it. So the Reaper survives for the moment. Fusion Core is just coming through, and it's going to be Clem really switching this up a bit early on. With the Roach roaring up, though, I mean, it's aggression from Lambo. It's a fun game because it's obviously aggression from Lambo, Clem trying to play BCs. If Clem can hold to a Battlecruiser, then he's obviously in a really good spot. Obviously, the problem is a Battlecruiser has a huge build time, so can he hold that long? Well, yeah, that's what we're kind of waiting to find out right now, isn't it? Overlord is just out here, so you can bring this forward for high ground vision as well. Not sure that's really important in this scenario. Kane's going to find the Roaches as they move through the center. Alien already taking a lot of damage there initially. Command center from Clem in the natural as well, so getting that set up, and just going to be seeing the few Lings of Lambo continuing to move around. Hellions will continue up to the top of the map. And pull all the way back home. There's a few Roaches, a couple of Ravagers all setting up. Seeing a couple of shots there initially. I mean, again, you're just trying to buy a bit of time. You get up to that BC and you will clean up everything here. The Hellions are just going to go across the map. I don't mind that. Lambo's just droning back at home, so he's not got more units on the way to defend this. He's got a few lings that he left here. That is about it for the moment. Oh, SCV is going down. The bunker is in a little bit of trouble. Widowmine will drop. The bunker falls, and still just seeing these Hellions trying to find an opening. Not getting there yet. Here's our BC. And yeah, now the question is how many SCVs can you get killed? I don't know why he's targeting the orbital command. I think he's busy dancing with the Hellions. But yeah, you should not be targeting the orbital command here because obviously it's not going to go down. And you just need to do as much damage as possible. So yeah, that's going to be it. 3 SCVs go down, but 3 drones fell across the map as well. It's equal worker counts. I mean, you get a little bit more as well. You got a couple Widow Mines. Now the BC teleports to the main. Guess what's not ready? Yes, that's right. It's the Spore Crawler. It's the anti-air. Queen's out of position. They pull into the main. Ling's still left on the third. Knowing he'll need a defense because those Hellions are likely elsewhere, waiting for their chance to strike. Battlecruiser into the bottom right-hand corner as Roaches showing up. Continuing to come through. The other Lings are going to come in as well. The Hellions being chased away. Ling's going to look to try and get a wrap around, perhaps on these Hellions. Is going to get them, isn't he? He's going to get them both. The Hellions go down. Meanwhile, we've got the BC. Still having a good time over here in this corner. 4 drones have fallen. Battlecruiser teleports across the map. A couple of racks are going to build in this natural expansion also. Ling's going to run straight in. Gets one of the racks. Maybe thinking about another. Refinery falls across the map. 2 BCs. This is the problem, right? When you get up to multiple BCs, you know the lair is late, so you're not afraid of like a Spire showing up. This harassment can just continue in such an amazing fashion compared to usual. And this BC teleporting home not only keeps itself safe, but it keeps Clem safe because now it stops these roaches from getting through. 13 worker lead for Lambo, but as Clem switches into bio, I'm very interested to see where we come out in terms of armies given 2 or 3 minutes from now. See if Lambo can really be competitive in the army that Clem can make. See, moving up the top, we're going to be seeing our 4th hatch. Setting up from Lambo on the right-hand side. Spire is moving along. Baneling Nest about to finish up. Overlord is killed off here. Spire going to finish in the back of the main base. We do see our Marines and Medivacs continuing down the bottom right. 4 Banelings, 5 Banelings already morphing in here from Lambo as well. So continuing to set that up as Marines, the Medivacs, the Siege Tank. All coming down this right-hand side. Eight Marines inside of it. Infestation Pit builds from Lambo. Corruptors on the way. Just going to be seeing BCs teleport into this fight as well. I mean, basically just the Queens to fight those. Problem is the Marines just lift up. Good target fire on the Banes. Lifts up, gets out of there. And again, the Queens are fighting without any other support. It's just these BCs. The Queens are going to go running, but the BC damage is just ridiculous, right? Just can do so much. Because there's no Spire up yet, right? There's no Corruptors up yet. They're about to spawn now. Finally, these BCs are going to get shut down, but not before the Marines have already been having their way over in this main. They're about to hit 1-1. Don't think they can stick around there, but again, continuing to force units to move around. Drop on the 3rd base. Clem is absolutely everywhere here on Death Aura. And he honestly just... He makes a good hold initially into a strong follow-up. That's basically going to close this out, as these Corruptors will not be able to fly up here without Marines having their way either. And that's just 9 drones. A lot of units lost here from Lambo. Clem starting up 2-2, so he's getting ready to go into an upgrade lead, or at least staying competitive in the upgrades. And Lambo's going into Hive. He's got that infestation bit done. He's going to go Hive and, well, maybe some Vipers to help against the incoming siege tank production. Means the medevacs will continue through the middle of the map here. Medevac up the left side. I mean, it's a lot of units from Clem. He's taking a 4th base behind all of this, so very comfortably moving up into a more macro-focused stage of the game instead of just these constant harassments and so on. He's about to be maxed out, Clem, and once you're maxed out, it's pretty much always worth looking for a bit of a fight. Only a couple of Banes really in this army, so that gets chased away, cancels a sensor tower. That's just going to rebuild, and, well, again, there's just not really that much for Lambo. This army from Clem looks terrifying. Now, that said, of course, a lot of Lambo's armies on this right side as well right now, but let's see what it looks like when everything of Clem shows up. Lambo down 20 supply. He should be able to max out ahead of this fight, but even still, I mean, you're going to be maxed out and pretty much drained out of cash, drained of lava. Rebuilding is going to be a major problem. He's going to stem on through. We're going to see these Banes taking some damage. Lambo comes in from the flank, though, so Clem doesn't have a lot of places to kite to. That's a really good fight for Lambo. If there was going to be a fight he was going to win, it was probably going to look like that. Yeah, forcing Clem to lift up here and back away. Unfortunately, the Corruptors weren't there to take advantage of the lifting medevacs. Clem is going to be off and away to the upper left, is going to be out home and getting there alive. It's an effort there by Clem. Biles and the Widowmine gets cleaned out. The Ling Corruptor force of Lambo back down into the center. Another couple of Biles and a Marine gets caught. Another Marine showing up. I'm still just pushing through. Ling gets taken down. Still trying to fight. All the way down the left side, you're going to see Creep Team is taking a bit of damage. Corruptor's going to show up. Medevacs have to be careful, backing away. A few Lings trailing into that bio army. Clem just expanding, by the way. 5th base is already settling down. Widowmine is burrowed, is going to get a few of these Lings, although the bio army kind of getting caught. The Medevacs are too far away to actually heal. They're just sat there being killed by Corruptors. Lambo going to go pushing up. I mean, Clem has been setting up into now some Liberate showing up as well. Ultras continue to move through. Widowmine connects. Just gonna see the rest of this Bioforce continue to push on into this. Across the map, drones are going down. The Widowmine drops have been effective from Clem, so as Clem holds, he also deals damage on the other side, and he's even chased for a couple of final units. No concussive shells, by the way. Might actually be useful in some of these chases, and Clem realizes that as well. Gets his concussive shell started. As I'm talking about it, Widowmines get 3 more kills. SCPs go to the upper right-hand side. This command center going to lift off, go elsewhere. A little Marine sitting, chipping away at the hatchery. So hatchery taking some shots. A lot of the Lings still moving around bio with the Libs. Making its way to this far right-hand side. A couple of Libs going to siege up, and bio army gets straight in on top of the hatchery. 16 Banelings are going to morph in already as hatchery does fall. These Lings coming through, they're going to be able to grab a Widowmine. The rest of the Bioforce, I mean, this is actually just nice because the Banelings just aren't here. The Banelings are taking forever to arrive, and by taking so long to arrive, Clem just sits and fights the entire time. He gets rid of all of the Zerglings, then he fights the Banes. I feel like that's true as well. Just taking some damage. Marine's gonna stem in. I'm actually gonna get rid of a lot of these Corruptors. Just makes the sky that much better, right? The Liberators are gonna be much more difficult to deal with now. In fact, the Liberators are not gonna be dealt with by anything, really. There's no Ravagers on the map. There's only 2 Corruptors. Not like the Queen Count's doing great. I mean, Libs are gonna be fantastic here. Then his Clem lifts up base 6, and he's in no rush to really mine from that. By army coming down the right. Liberator is sieged. Mine's going to get a few shots off already, man. The Widow Mines just do so much to these ultras, and then the bio armies just cleaving through them. I almost don't want to believe these ultras have chitinous play, and they're actually just dying so quick for once. Lambo's down 50 supply. He is hurting a lot. I feel like he did well to make this a very, he did a lot of things right to make this a playable game. He took some really good engagements, but so much of this comes back to the fact he was playing from behind early based on what he chose to do. Clem just cleans up that ultra, lifts up, gets out, gonna unload over here. He's got a Planetary Fortress that should come up. And Lambo just says GG. He's got an attack coming down the left side he's not going to be able to deal with. Lambo gets out of there. Clem goes up 1-0. Start off in the top left-hand side. Our Blue Zerg player. Again, still teamless, but he can put up a fight against the best in the world. It is Lambo. And in the bottom right-hand side, we do have our Red Terran player from Team Liquid. Give it up if you're cheering on Clem. I'm taking that 1-0 lead. Of course, best of 5 semifinals of the ESL Open Cup. The finals will be a best of 5 as well. Lambo's Overlord out down on the bottom side. The barracks building up here from Clem. Extractor coming in. So hatch gas ready for the spawning pool. Nothing really to comment on when it comes to these early builds. When it comes to the map, I do quite like this one for the Terrans. I think it's a large map, and I think in that regard it helps the Zerg, but I just can't get over watching a game of TY the other day, abusing this position to push into this base. So until I've had that wiped out my memory, I'm going to forever say I like this one for the Terran. I actually think it gives a pretty good setup for TvZ and a longer game TvZ in general. I think for sure it's a it's got a lot of potential to just give us some really, really fun, really entertaining games. Yeah, obviously the new maps are still, pretty fresh, considering, there's so many matchups to see them on, right? There's 6 different matchups we can watch, and, in that regard, it's, I'm still in my first few times of watching these maps in certain matchups, and trying to figure out what the cool things to do are, what the meta is going to be, how players are trying to get ahead, all that kind of stuff. We're still in that kind of early experimental phase of the new maps, which is really cool. Really, really cool. Cancel it down, Clem. This might be a map to go 3cc on if he just want to go second. If he wants to go 3cc off one gas in any of these maps, I think this might be one of the maps to really go for it, and he is going to. Yeah, it's definitely just safe. It's large. It lends itself to this kind of style. Now, link speed's on the way up. I'm going to see a tech lab coming down this barracks starport already beginning, and just seen our third CC, of course, as previously mentioned, setting up. So Clem, happy to play a bit of a slow opening. I kind of like that he played into the BCs in the first game, right? Cool way to throw your opponent off a little bit, already throw your opponent kind of into a bit of a weirder spot where they're like, wait a second, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? I mean, Lambo tried to do the same, trying to open with that roach style, just being like, huh, you know what, like, what if I just throw a cheeky little all-in early? What does that do to this series? Well, obviously it didn't work out for him, as these queens are really out of position for 2 Hellions and a Reaper showing up. I think Clem's realizing that it's just time to commit in and to get as many of these kills as possible. A couple of Lings showing up. Ling Speed just now finishing 5 kills. Are you kidding me? Clem. Okay, it's only 5. It looked as though it might get up to like 7 or so. 5 is okay. I mean, for Lambo, it's never great. 2 Hellions. They cost 200 minerals, 5 drones, 250, plus a bit of a drone pull. It's definitely worthwhile for Clem. You take that trade any day of the week. Clem with that single Banshee, no cloak on it, just wants to make sure he's very safe, just in case of a situation where, you know, you end up against a, just in case of that situation where you end up against, a roach attack here. This Banshee's going to give you that safety. It's going to give you that defense. You don't have to worry about this as much. This map looks tiny. I think it looks tiny, but it feels quite big. Like, I feel like running from base to base feels very long. Because you kind of got to come out and down, and this little wiggle here, up through the center. I don't know. It feels quite large, natural. I don't actually know the timings. It just feels... Maybe it's the expansion patterns of it as well. I feel like if, Clem expands here and pushes towards Lambo, then this is obviously pretty close, but I do feel like base to base, nat to nat, can be pretty long. I feel like it's got a lot of space on it though, right? Like this base is all the way up the top, all the way down the bottom, so it can feel very drawn out for sure. That's one thing we've definitely seen in some of the previous games on this map, including that ZVP between Lambo and Geralt in the quarterfinals. Quadron's building as our Lara and our Banal Nest continuing through. A couple of extractors just setting up on the third, and our Hellions will get rid of a couple of creep teamers. Going to come across, gets a drone. Able to take that down, and it's obviously pretty great as well as a Banshee hanging out on the bottom side. Other Hellions going to just be backing away, and 14 Zerglings on the way up. A couple of extra racks. About to finish here from Clem. It's going to be 5 racks, a couple factories all ready to move out in the next few moments, perhaps. As 1-1 and combat shields is done, we'll definitely be seeing a bit of a push from Clem, bit of first pressure on the map, bit of a feeler being sent out to see how things are going, see what he can trade out for in the early stages, of course. Stim straight up here. There's going to be a bunch of creep. Might even be a base. Units are responding. No Bane speed yet, so it's just these Lings, and yeah, he's going to get the base cancel. That's really nice. I mean, there's still this base building on the left side as well. Lambo actually double expanded early, but yeah, I feel like catching a base early on like this is great. The Hellions are going to get caught, though. I don't think there's a good way to really save these Hellions. Drops on the other side. You can maybe boost a medevac in there now and save them. Dropping on the other side keeps the Marines safe, but puts them in range to at least fight back and get a few extra kills. Didn't mind that. Bane speed not done, by the way. Dangerous when you're playing against Clem, who will just snipe down your Banelings without caring. That's 2 on the right side. The other 3 were left alone. He lifts and leaves, but again, it's just more efficiency, more damage done. You can see already resources lost. Only 500 in Clem's favor, but you give Clem the slightest little advantage, and he will stretch it out and make it seem like you basically took game-ending damage at minute 3 or something. Oh, I thought he was going to target fire Banes there, but he actually just kind of move commanded back toward them. That's kind of a weird little situation as well. He's just going to swim straight through here. Going to find themselves a couple of queens. That's a really nice catch. And now Marines on this right top side. And an Overlord coming through. This hatchery in some trouble. And keep running as the Widowmine gets burrowed. Going to fire and hits on a few Banes. Now Clem's still pushing up this top side while dropping in the main. So as Lambo peels to the left, he's got to deal with the other push. And this is going to be problematic. Clem's just going to go for this base again. The thing is, Lambo's still mining on the left-hand side, right? Clem does know that, right? He hasn't seen the base. I mean, surely you've got to assume that's a possibility, though. I mean, this is just a good fight for Clem. There's only a couple of Banes around. They got taken down before they connected in. Oh, these Marines are now a little bit too far forward, but guess what? You just lift and get out. In fact, you don't just lift and get out. You lift and go to the main base. You keep dealing with it. All the Lings coming through. Lifting back up. Gonna go back to the side. But More army coming through. Widowmine's going to burrow up. Baneling's crashing through here. Good split back. You see everything else still joining up together. Man, it's just magical, right? Watching Clem play this sort of stuff. He just makes armies work. And I mean, here we are just taking down Baneling after Baneling target fires the next two. The only bad thing here for Clem is that obviously there are a few Hydras. And oh, he lets those Banes connect. Hey, well, he gives Lambo a chance, maybe. He's also fighting 1-1 against 2-2 there. So maybe calm down until 2-2 is done and then get going again. Hydrovacs load up over to that right-hand side. Just gonna stim. Lings and Banes wanting to continue through. Trying to move up this ramp, but unable to for the moment. I have the Lurker Den continuing to set up as well. It's a lot of lane kills, actually. That's such a pretty nice set of Widow Mines. Lambo is still leading quite seriously at the moment. Pushing up toward the top side, gonna go in and it's a Bane lane. Just gonna see the rest of the Banes moving through, splitting back. Does a pretty decent job of this. And gets picked off. I mean, there's just so much from Clem. The Hydras are really good at like keeping you alive and not dying, but if this was Mutas, I think Lambo would have already been like rolling over dead. So the Hydras have kept him in it a little while longer, but there's only so much more you can do. These Banes do connect. There's one more Bane. He target fires that one down. Can he get rid of the Hydras? The Hydras are expensive as well. I don't think Lambo could really afford to remake them at this stage. Eleven drones down. It's a Widow Mine drop on the left side that strikes as Clem is looking elsewhere. He burrows a couple of them up out of reach of any sort of detection, and he's even going to save one of them, pulling it away to the side. Still attacking up the top side of the map. Gonna split these bio units up. GG's called from Lambo, and Clem is gonna take 2-0 lead. He's playing a pretty masterful TvZ here so far, looking fantastic in his plays. Game 3 here between Lambo and Clem. As we get this set up on Romanticide. I'm leading 2-0 to get through the load screen. On the top left-hand side, down a couple of maps, and needs to try and find a way to fight back. Romanticide, one of the interesting maps to play on. I guess we'll talk a bit about that after the intros. It's Lambo in the top left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player from Team Liquid is Clem. Alright, so third map here, trying to set this up and get this running again. Shout out to the players who just regamed because I managed to miss the lobby. I mean, they kind of went very quickly in the first place, I'm not going to lie. I literally looked away for like 20 seconds, came back, and the lobby had been linked and they'd started, so I have a shout out to them for helping us out. And getting us in here in the end. So yes, we're at a 2-0 lead here for Clem, of course, in this best of 5. It's going to be seeing the drones setting up. Game 3 of this getting underway. So Romanticide, why is this map interesting? I mean, this is a very... I really feel like this map is very much so... It feels large. It feels like the kind of map you have to play like 5 bases, camp it out on, fight over your later game bases and stuff like that. It definitely seems like the case. There's a couple of SCVs moving around. I'm just going to go for a scout. One of them going to build a CC. Yeah, I don't feel like you can be like hyper aggressive on this map. I don't think you can 8 racks on this map, for example, unless you get off to like a really good start earlier on. Let's see if you're going to move up here into the natural. Sees the hatchery, going to turn around and just going to go scout over to the side. It's going to be seen how Overlord continue out down the bottom. So Reaper is going to come along through the middle. Couple queens on the way up. Command center on the way down. Factory building in the main. Lambo going to go for an early roach run here. So he's going to put on the pressure. I really want to learn the rush distances of these maps because I feel like this is not like your typical roach map for sure. See how this turns out. Reaper going to come up through the top side. It's pushed away pretty quickly. The queen gets there. The couple of overlords spawn in, and this Reaper is obviously seeing no third hatchery. It's something to keep in mind, but he didn't get any read on the gas count. He didn't get any read on the roach roar, and so Clem's still blind. Now, he is opening double gas, so it's not that 3cc we saw in the last game. That's good news for Clem. The real question here is, what is he going for? He's still producing a couple of Marines. This can sometimes lead to something along the lines of like a Hellbat opening, which has been quite popular lately to punish faster lair plays. He doesn't see the lair, though, and that's all he's really checking for. And I think if he doesn't see the lair, then he's going to see the roaches now. So now you know. He starts a bunker immediately. On the low ground as well. Starport builds a tech lab itself. He's just going to keep building Marines so he has as many units as possible to try and fight against this. Oh, this is really bad for Lambo. He's going to lose an Overlord early. He's going to get himself supply blocked. It hurts a lot as the Overlord goes down. Lambo is... sorry, he doesn't get supply blocked. He must have had another Overlord finish just in time. The Italian's even just going to get a few free shots off, right? Anything you can do that's going to minimize the amount of time these roaches are up and running definitely can help out. Banshee on the way. Obviously, that is the hard shutdown timer on this. So how long does Lambo have? Well, not very, but he can already start getting some SCV kills as the bunker is repaired. SCVs dodge away from that bile. And the roaches are going down. Now, Lambo's drawn in behind it already, so he's going to be up to about 40 workers against 25. I'd say that's actually pretty good going for Lambo. He's also obviously cleaned out the early Hellions. So that goes down. And the Banshee doesn't even have cloak, so its harassment potential is obviously very much so minimized compared to what you might usually expect. Banshee here picks off the Ravager. A few Marines going to go diving into the bunker, and Clem just going to go away to the top left with Stimpack already coming in from Clem here. So Stimpack, a couple of extra barracks are building. Topwood getting a reactor going. And a command center from Clem into the corner. So that's going to be 3cc getting up and rolling here. That Banshee arrives into the third. I mean, without cloak, it's obviously very limited what you can do here. Lambo has to respect the fact it could have cloak, though. So you invest into spores, and that's something that at least slows the drone count down a little bit. Now, Clem has the 3cc, so rebuilding now becomes a bit easier once this orbital is morphed in. He can afford, get more SCVs. I'm trying to think how much I like it for Clem, if I like it at all. I mean, the worker difference is huge. 20 worker difference. I'm just thinking, is there a way Clem can do some damage or do something to bring that back a bit? At the moment, I'm not really sure if there is. Feeling that's dropping down here from Lambo. Coming up. A couple of queens making their way along. And there's our third CC from Clem. Just going to move across into position. Clem's Marines all sat out on the front and just going to be seeing another couple of depots continuing to come on down. This gas setting up on the natural as well. Third CC in location really means he can just pump up into the mid game, but I think Lambo's opener really did work wonders for him in the end. And she grabs a drone as we see 14 lings about to complete. Melee upgrades continuing through. The 1-1 upgrades of our Terran player going to be combined with Combat Shield as our first dropping Medivacs coming across the map. Now, this is where Clem maybe needs to get something done, right? Because if he doesn't do something here, Lambo is going to really be running away with this game. Now, the stim pack at the moment, the only issue I mean, this is going to be before 1-1 for either player, but if it does fight as 1-1 finishes, it finishes first for Lambo, and even a few seconds could make a difference here as Clem's going to start working on this hatchery. Now, Clem is going to have to fight from the left and the right, because that's where Lambo's coming in from. That's the hatch, that's the overload. Honestly, he might just be able to lift up and leave, sacrifice the siege tank, say goodbye to it, and there's no way, right? He has to just lift up and get out of there. He'll go drop into the natural and try and pressure a little further, especially when there's no Bane speed. The only thing that can show up is Lings, but they get that quickly. I think Clem should just be happy. 4th base denied is already a pretty big deal. So he's already denied the 4th base, and by denying the 4th base, he puts himself into, let's say, a pretty good spot. You know, all this cost him so far was a siege tank that he's going to keep building tanks, but I imagine tanks are not going to be the priority moving on, especially when he realizes this is going to be Mutalisks. Because then you just don't, then you want to generally switch into Widow Mines. So I don't think that siege tank is the end of the world. The couple of Banes finally going to have Baneling speed. As Clem just waiting on his armory to go 2-2, and that's actually allowed Lambo to open up about a 45-50 second upgrade advantage. Obviously, that will increase a bit further if Clem doesn't start 2-2 immediately. And he has the gas to do it. It's just if he has the presence of mind to go back to those engineering bays and click those upgrades, knowing now that his armory is done. Every second that passes by is extra seconds that Lambo leads the upgrades. More timing window where Lambo can take a very favorable fight. That said, that's still going to have to come around dealing with this army right now. For the moment, the upgrades are dead even as Clem has started +2 attack. There you go. Bane's going to start moving in. Needs some target fire on those Banelings from the siege tanks. And right now, that's just not happening. The Marines in the back are really saving the day more than anything as the Muta's showing up to get the tank in the front. Yeah, that was uncharacteristic, I feel like. There just wasn't really the target fire there that you would usually expect to see. As the Bane's running down, the Muta's going to catch a Banshee over on the right side. That's actually a pretty cute play. Sieging the tank up, putting a Widow Mine right below it. That's just sort of inviting those Mutas to their own death. I mean, obviously, they're not going to... One mine's not going to blow up every Muta, but you can actually do a fair amount. Here we go. The Ling Bane running through. The Mutas are going to get hit by this Widow Mine. Unfortunately, they weren't actually stacked up all that much. So that one Widow Mine doesn't do that much splash damage as Clem. His position has been so good for him. Has to back away now, but he's got reinforcements about to show up. And the problem for Lambo is he doesn't have Banelings ready. Without Banelings, you don't stop this attack. Okay, Clem doesn't currently have... he doesn't have 2-2. He doesn't have splash damage. The Lambo doesn't have splash damage either. Can Clem do enough here? He doesn't have the scan on the Banes, so he doesn't know how much time he's got. He's going to catch the Queen, and I think he's just going to play the safer game. A real shame Clem forgot about +2 armor. That's going to help Lambo a lot. Now, with those 2-2 upgrades again, if he takes the fight, it is going to be very Lambo favored. This is a Mutalisk, unfortunately. Very Lambo favored in the upgrades. Obviously, it may not be enough to win the engagement. Depends a lot on how other things go. The Widow Mines get amazing connections to start this off. The Banes turn around to hit the Widow Mines as well. So what happened at the very end here, I think, is actually worth looking at, because what happens at the very end is the few Banelings that the Widow Mines hit the Lings, but because the Overseer shows up, so these two Widow Mines, they hit the Lings, so they trail onto a pretty good set of connections. Now these Banes are like, okay, let's go fight these Marines. The Overseer shows up, and this Overseer provides the vision, and the Banes then move back into Widow Mines, into this Marine that was in the line of sight blocker. And everything just falls apart from there. Lambo just has no Banelings left. Clem claiming that victory in a 3-0 in the semifinals to go through to the grand finals and take on Hero Marine.